It was one of those bitterly cold winter evenings in New York City when the entire skyline shimmered under a blanket of frost. People scurried along the sidewalks, buried deep in their thick coats, trying to escape the cutting wind. Even the glittering lights of Manhattan couldn't erase the quiet loneliness that lingered in the air. Yet, right in the heart of the city, inside the Grand Astoria Hotel, a different world unfolded. Tonight was the charity gala hosted by billionaire Samuel Grant, the Samuel Grant whose fortune towered over skyscrapers, but whose heart had long since locked itself away. 51-year-old Samuel, immaculately dressed in a tailored three-piece suit, with silver-streaked hair and a face carved with stoic lines, stood like a statue of success. 2 years earlier, his only daughter Emily had died in a car accident. Since that day, something inside him had frozen. His smiles became formalities, his conversations reduced to necessities. He donated millions, attended gatherings, but lived as a hollow man. Tonight's event was merely another tribute in Emily's name. As the gala neared its end, guests began to leave. Samuel, wearing his usual thin smile, bid them farewell. His security team stood ready to escort him through the main entrance as always, but suddenly, without a word, Samuel veered off toward the back exit. Maybe something was stirring deep inside him. Or maybe he simply didn't know what drew him there. Outside the rear door, silence wrapped the deserted alleyway. And there, at the street corner, stood a thin young woman. Barely 19 or 20. She wore an oversized, worn-out coat, torn jeans, and held a battered cardboard sign. On it, shaky handwriting read, "Hungry. Cold. Will work for food." Her lips were cracked, her fingers raw from the cold, yet in her eyes, there was a sparkle, a strange, rare kind of light that seemed to reach directly into the soul. Just then, a strong gust of wind swept through the alley. Samuel lost his footing and stumbled forward. Instinctively, to steady himself, he reached out and accidentally pulled the girl into a tight embrace. For a few seconds, they stood locked together. Their breaths mingled, eyes met. Samuel quickly stepped back, clearing his throat. "I'm so sorry. That was accidental." The girl chuckled, the kind of laugh that carries no complaint, but rather gently cradles the heart. "It's okay, sir," she said softly. "Seems like you needed a hug more than I did." Samuel froze. A billionaire, with everything, and he needed something from her. For the first time in years, he paused. The locked doors of his heart creaked open slightly. He exhaled deeply and asked, "What's your name?" "Lila," she answered. Samuel reached into his pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 bill, extending it toward her. But Lila smiled and didn't reach for it. "Sir, if you don't mind," she said gently, "I don't need money right now. Could you just sit with me for 5 minutes? Not as a billionaire, but as a person who maybe, just maybe, is hurting." It was an unexpected request. Yet strangely, Samuel nodded. They both sat down together on the cold curb. In silence, under the witness of the winter night, they simply sat. After 5 minutes, Lila quietly began sharing her story. Her father had passed away when she was just 12. Her mother had worked as a cleaner but eventually fell seriously ill and became bedridden. Lila had dropped out of school to care for her mother. As the bills piled up, they lost everything. Yet, the most remarkable thing was how Lila spoke, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. She spoke about every small kindness shown to her by strangers. Samuel listened, truly listened, perhaps for the first time in years. His eyes welled up. His heart's heavy walls, long sealed shut, began to crumble. The man who had closed himself off from the world after his daughter's death was, tonight, seeing hope again through Lila's words. When Lila finished, she smiled softly and said, "Sir, I don't need money today. But, if it's not too much, could you visit my mother in the hospital tomorrow? Just talk to her. It would make her day. Not many visit her anymore." Samuel felt the ground shift beneath him. Without hesitation, he promised. Lila smiled one last time and disappeared into the crowd. The next day, Samuel went to the hospital. Room 214. There lay Lila's mother, Mrs. Rayner, frail, yet smiling warmly. He spent hours talking to her. About life, about Emily, about regrets, and forgiveness. Something inside Samuel was breaking, and something new was being built. In the following weeks, Samuel quietly arranged the best medical care for Mrs. Rayner, provided temporary housing for Lila, and secretly re-enrolled her into college. He told no one. No press. No photos. No headlines. But the real transformation happened inside Samuel. He began attending his foundation's programs in person. He spoke genuinely at events. He visited shelters and orphanages, giving not just money, but his time, and more importantly, his heart. 6 months later, at the Grant Foundation's annual event, an extraordinary young woman was invited on stage. Lila Rayner, now a social work student and the head of a new program for homeless children. Her speech that night carried the same gentleness and resilience Samuel had seen months ago on that freezing street corner. When she finished, Samuel quietly stepped onto the stage. Without hesitation, he embraced Lila in front of everyone, this time, not by accident, but from the depths of his heart. The hall erupted in applause. Under the flash of cameras, they stood together, a billionaire and a once hungry girl, both wearing expressions of deep peace, belonging, and love. Later, when reporters asked Lila why she hadn't taken Samuel's money that night, her answer made headlines across the world. Because sometimes, people don't need charity, they just need a reason to open their hearts again. Samuel's life was never the same. He had become rich in the truest sense, rich with purpose and connection. And Lila? She went on to transform thousands of lives, not with wealth, but with the simple, unstoppable power of kindness and compassion. The same compassion that, one cold New York night, had melted the heart of a lonely billionaire.